a short story about a man named John Smith, or Jim Jones, or yourself. Call him George Johnson, average American. Well thought of by his neighbors, crazy about his kids. All in all, a substantial citizen. And in an emergency, a pretty good man to have around. Not so long ago, if you dropped around to George's, you would have found him at the head of the table and the family about to pitch into one of those big meals that made the whole world envy our American standard of living, and which we, of course, took very much for granted. But now, like all of us, George Johnson's life has changed. Most of these nights his chair is empty, but he has an excuse that any wife in the land would understand. George Johnson is no longer an average man. For halfway around the globe, a new enemy had loaded with bombs the wonderful airplanes we invented for him, sailed through the dawn and struck. Sunday, December 7th, 1941, at Pearl Harbor, he delivered total war to all Americans and changed our way of life for many a long day to come. Which is why George Johnson is more than an average man today. For in his hands lies responsibility now for the very lives of his neighbors. George Johnson, Air Raid Warden, has completed 42 hours of training. He has studied defense against gas and incendiary bombs, learned first aid, and studied the Air Raid Warden handbook from cover to cover to learn every detail for the organization of his sector. To do so, he has visited every house in his district, gotten acquainted with his neighbors, and jotted down the number and character of the occupants in each dwelling, particularly noting the aged and infirm, so that if necessary, he can provide them with special help. He has convinced them of the absolute necessity of a complete blackout. He has taken the time to show them how to put up blackout curtains that would really do the job, down to the last detail of thumbtacking the curtains to the window frames, so that not a single ray of light can leak through and bring an enemy bomber roaring to the target. He worked out a plan for distributing equipment and tools throughout the sector so that enough would be available for his firewatchers, and later checked up to see that all of this equipment was in place and ready for use. Bucket pumps, stored containers of water, garden hose, dry sand, square-nosed shovels, all where it could be instantly reached.
Say, before I leave, let's take a look at your attic.
Fine.
If an incendiary bomb dropped into your attic before you got this combustible material cleaned up, I'm afraid the fire would get out of control before you could get up here. To play safe, you better remove all this stuff right away.
Well, we better do it. Now George has learned an important thing about his neighbors. We Americans are a funny breed. We don't cooperate very readily when you try to push us around with a show of authority. On the other hand, when you ask with a smile, we'll contribute every time and effort for the protection of our community.
We put our ready room in the basement, Warden. I've got it fixed up pretty good, too.
Is the basement a safe place for a ready room, Warden?
Well, of course, no home is entirely safe from a direct hit in its mark. But any room that you can be comfortable in during an air raid will serve the purpose, as long as it provides shelter from bomb fragments and shattering glass.
We used to store coal and wood in here, but since we put in an oil burner, we don't need it anymore.
Yes, this looks fine.
I picked this spot because the cellar door leads to the outside, in case we have to leave in a hurry.
That's a good idea.
I fixed that ready room up for Bozo, Warden. You think it's okay?
Yes, sir, Bobby, that's a fine job. Both you and Bozo ought to be all right down here.
The defense of a sector is on a voluntary basis, and it's up to George to see that the countless tasks are carried out efficiently and as quickly as possible.
Hello, Larry.
Oh, Warden. Oh, this finishes up the last one. I'll get these put up for you this afternoon.
Larry, you've done a swell job. You've got our whole sector covered this time. Thanks a lot.
Well, don't thank me, Warden. If there's anything else I can do for you, just let me know. Kind of pretty, huh?
Yes, they certainly are.
By this time, several weeks have passed. George has selected and trained his assistant wardens to share his duties and take his place if the need arises. He has obtained the use of a strongly constructed room in the corner of the school basement and has equipped it with all of the items listed in the Air Raid Warden's handbook.
Well, Sam, it's the third night of our blackout. I wonder if enemy planes are really headed this way.
I'll let them come.
Our boys are ready, and so are we.
He selected the basement of this building because it affords protection against bomb blasts and splinters. And George has made sure that it is sealed against war gas, as prescribed in the handbook. It is a good thing, too, because we are well into the third night of an Army-ordered blackout, and anything is liable to happen.
How are you, Nick? Fine. Hello, Ed. Here's the last pump. I need one. All my fire watchers are picking up now, you betcha.
And here's the rest of our report form.
Good. Miss Thompson, here's a revised list of all the telephone numbers you're to call if we receive the yellow warning.
Oh, George, did you get hold of those new gas alarms all right?
You bet. Got one straight to the warden. Well, here it is.
How does she work, Warden?
Well, take a whirl, Nick.
Hey, that's okay.
Nick, do you remember the gas drifts downwind?
Sure.
Do you remember what mustard gas smells like?
Horseradish. Warden, if you'll learn the restaurant as long as I have, your smeller gets pretty keen, you betcha. I'd be good for sniffing gas.
All right. Now, here's your sector, Nick. If a bomb falls near your post, what's the first thing you do?
A duck.
That's right. What next?
I sniff for gas.
That's right. Then what do you do?
I whirl my rattle like this. To warn the people in my sector.
Now, suppose you heard a rattle like that from Peter Olson's sector up here. Then what do you do?
I find out which way the wind blows. And if the wind she's come from the same direction as the noise, I go toward the noise until I sniff the gas. And when I sniff the gas, I whirl my rattle like this.
Army flag. OP number 62, multimotor planes, 10,000 feet.
The yellow warning.
Let's go. Make sure that everyone's blacked out. And all fire watches at their posts. Miss Thompson, telephone Johnny Campbell to report over here in case you need a messenger. I'll keep in touch with you. Miss Smith, don't forget to see that Grandma Blake's taken care of. All right.
Right.
Oh, I forget my pump.
Yellow warning. Yellow warning. Yes, yes. Yes, I'm coming. Who is it? Betty Smith.
Well, evening, Betty. Won't you come in?
Can't, Grandma Blake, thanks. Your lights are still burning in the front room, and there's a blackout on tonight.
Constance, no wonder my light bills are so high. I always forget whether to push that button in or out to turn the lights off.
Mrs. Jones will be over to stay with you right away, Grandma Blake. So don't worry if we have an air raid.
Don't you worry about me, Betty. I got through 3 Indian raids and still kept the scalp. So I ain't going to worry about no air raid at my age.
Good night, Grandma Blake.
Good night, Betty.
Oh, just a minute. Where are you going, young lady?
Oh, you'd better get off the street. It's just an air raid.
I know. I'm the air raid warden. Say, you're Mary Kelly, aren't you?
Yes.
Everybody has to keep off the streets during an air raid, Mary. You go back to Mrs. McKee's house, and I'll see that your mother knows where you are.
Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Oh, Warden, I'm on my way to the post. Anything I can do for you?
Yes, Johnny. When you get there, telephone Mrs. Kelly that I told Mary to stay with the McKees until the air raid's over.
Yes, sir.
One of the warden's most important duties is to see that the streets of his sector are kept clear for the passage of emergency vehicles. A traffic jam under blackout conditions might mean a shocking loss of property and even human lives.
I suppose it's a false alarm, and I'm supposed to get home and take my wife to the movies tonight. Tarzan, too.
You ask me, all this air raid precaution stuff is nuts.
Why, certainly. I don't see how bombers could get over the city anyhow. sir. Oh. What's that for?
And the aircraft gun. You men realize you're blocking this street?
We were told to stop when we heard the alert, and that's what we did.
You were told to pull to the curb and leave enough room for fire engines and ambulances to pass. Get busy now and move your cars.
Yes, sir. Right away.
Control center. Air raid damage reporting post number 8. 2 large incendiaries, probably thermite. One hit at the corner of Jones and Adams Street, no damage. The other hit the roof of number 48 on Adams Street. Our men on job, fire out of control. No casualties yet. Let's begin.
Jack!
Your job, Chief. Enter company number 4.
We tried to stop it, but it's too big for us. The report's in, Sam, and here comes the fire engine. You wait here and take charge of this. I'm going up on the roof over there and see if the fire watcher spotted anything else in our section. This ought to give them enough light if they want to drop some heavy ones, Joe.
Yeah.
Look, Joe, it's a big one. Looks like Bill Martin's place. Keep a lookout, Joe, for any more eggs like that one. I'll be down at Martin's place as soon as I make my report.
Okay.
Control center, air raid damage, reporting from post number 8. 1 high explosive, completely destroying dwelling. Home of William Martin, 3420 Clay Street. Number of occupants, 3. Casualties expected. End of message.
It is the warden's job to take charge of a bombing incident and direct all operations until he's relieved by an incident officer. The first unit to arrive from the control center is the rescue squad.
We're taking Warden. Right here. Bill Martin fixed up a little shelter for his family in the basement. This ought to be the shortest way. There's a cellar door right below us in the rubbish there.
Okay. Come on, Mike. Let's get the boys and put up the tarp.
All right, then. Let's move to the front. Hurry up, boys.
Over the wreckage, the rescue squad raises its tarpaulin shelter so that the dimmed lanterns can be safely used to provide light for the rescue work. Whenever civilian defense workers arrive at a bombing incident, they report directly to the Air Raid Warden for their orders.
Say, Warden! What do you want me to do? You take charge of the traffic down the corner and don't let anybody through this street except the unit sent to the control center. Yes, sir. Well, they're gone for this time.
Well, that's good. Maybe we can get a flick from inside if anybody's alive in there. Anybody there? Boys, we gotta work fast. We're alive. Hey, Warden! My block was lucky. No hit. Anything I can do to help?
Yes, Nick. The house next door got a bad shaking. All the windows are broken out. The walls are not any too safe either. You better get all the people out and find them a place to stay until the emergency food and housing corps gets here to take care of them.
Okay, Warden.
That's enough now. Break it in.
out as quick as you can, won't you?
Now, don't worry, Mrs. Martin. We'll get Bill out right away. Take Mrs. Martin and Bobby over to my place, will you, Mike?
Come, Mr. Martin.
Please take care of him.
Leg hurt bad, Bill?
No, can't feel a thing. Pretty lucky, eh, Warden? We all got out okay.
Yes. Pretty lucky. I'll be down to see you later, Bill. Now, don't worry about your family. They'll be all right. We'll post a guard on your property and take good care of everything.
Thanks.
Yes, the bombers have come and gone, but your work must still go on. You inspect the sector to see that everything is in order, and then make your report to the control center.
Hello, Captain.
Well, Warden, the fire's out. These incendiaries are tricky devils. So we're going to stick around for a while and make sure that the fire doesn't flare up somewhere again.
That's a good idea, Captain. I'm going down to the post to call the control center to find out if they want to send out a demolition and clearance crew to get the mess cleaned up and the streets open again. Boy, I'm tired.
And these are the men who only yesterday were saying, "What can I do?" George Johnson here, or Jim Jones, or yourself. Thousands of them. Few people to realize how long and hard your job. Danger, no sleep, no compensation. But in your heart, you know that you found the real meaning of those lines they made you memorize in the 8th grade. The lines that said that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.